Yeah.
There's a second piece of evidence from Paul that suggests he knows he's talking about a real human being. And that is, there are two places where Paul refers to the brothers of the Lord. In one of these places, in Galatians 1, he names this person as James, the brother of the Lord, and he distinguishes him with that title from Cephas, who is Peter, and the other apostles. So, brothers of the Lord can't mean Christians. It just can't be a word you use to refer to all Christians, because it wouldn't distinguish James from the other apostles. There is absolutely no evidence that this was used as a honorific or a special subclass of Christian leaders. So, brother of the Lord probably means the same thing brother usually means, which is a person who shares a parent with you.
The James, the brother of the Lord thing again. I really hate dealing with this argument, but they are pretty hard up on the definition of adelphos. What they aren't telling you here is that the word that Paul uses, adelphos, is actually a very ambiguous word to use if you're wanting to denote a blood kinship. As we did with the previous evidence that they gave, we need to ask what is the natural meaning of the word for Paul, and not just what we would consider as the natural use in this given context. And we can determine what this natural meaning for Paul would be by how he uses this word in other similar contexts. Like, say, when Paul is talking about brothers and sisters of the Lord, or brothers and sisters in general. 1 Corinthians 9:5 actually uses the exact same word that Paul uses in Galatians 1:19, adelphos. But here, Paul is actually referencing a sister or fellow female Christian. It's either that, or Paul was describing how in early Christianity they heavily engaged in incest. 2 Corinthians 2:13 describes Titus as Paul's brother, but he wasn't literally Paul's brother, he was just a brother of the Lord or a brother in Christ. And, of course, they use the exact same word, adelphos. And you'll notice when you look at all these passages, a trend is occurring. Adelphos is primarily used to denote a fictive kinship, at least with the author Paul. This is because of Romans 6:3-10 and Romans 8:29. Those two passages establish that Paul considers all baptized Christians to be brothers and sisters of the Lord, or of Jesus. They are considered to be part of God's family and are thus brothers and sisters of Jesus. This fact alone convolutes any familial ties that are referenced by Paul. In this section, Ian also complained about how denoting James as just a general Christian would not actually distinguish him from any apostle that could be referenced here. And I just don't understand why he would think this. The word apostle would be the distinguishing word to denote somebody as not being just a general Christian, but a special type of Christian. While every Christian that had been baptized was considered to be a brother or sister of the Lord, apostles would be a special class of Christian that would need to be separated from the general Christian audience. Because they weren't just baptized a Christian, they had actually personally received a vision of Jesus that denoted them as being an apostle. So it seems to me like Paul is denoting James as just a general Christian here, and there's no real reason to say that this particular phrase would mean that Peter was not also a brother of the Lord. It just means that James was not an apostle.
The mythicist answer to this is that there are apostles, and then there's this separate class of leaders called the Brothers of the Lord, which no one ever talks about, and we have no evidence for except these two passages. To which we say, make up obscure classes of Christian leadership in your novelization of the first century, not your description of the first century itself.
I don't know exactly which particular mythicist position that you're trying to represent is, but it's definitely not the strongest mythicist position, because the strongest mythicist position would not actually assert this as the conclusion. It's possible that there was a special group of Christians that were denoted as the Brothers of the Lord, but as stated in this section, we don't have any evidence to suggest that was a special group. Minimal mythicism would actually come to the conclusion that the most probable and most parsimonious answer would be that Brothers of the Lord just references Christians in general. But you've already dismissed this possible conclusion with no reason. So again, you're not actually attacking the strongest mythicist position, the only peer-reviewed mythicist position. It seems like at least to me, that you're straw manning the mythicist position to make it seem more ridiculous than it actually is. I would think that it would behoove you to educate yourself on the strongest mythicist position, which would be the mythicist position that has actually been peer reviewed, and debunk that